Hello and good evening, Bunasera, Erev Tov, and welcome to the 121 broadcast with me, Yoran from Bucharest, Romania, from my broadcasting page, Yoran Alive. And today we are live at Radio Shalom with a very special guest and a nice friend of mine who is a trainer and a coach. And she's going to talk to us about how coaching can change your life. So I want to welcome Cristina. Cristina, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well, thanks. And thank you so much for inviting me.
You're most welcome. So Cristina, just till we kind of warm up, I know that we have a few topics to touch, and I'm sure that we will have people also questioning in. But before we get to that, maybe you would like to tell us, how did you come to become a coach? And also tell us something about Soul Bloom. How did that come to be?
Okay, so the short version is that I always knew that I'm a people person. And so I knew that my place was in between people, working closely with people. I started off as a trainer, actually, and most of my years of expertise are in learning and development. And so later on, I thought that adding a coaching skill set to what I already know and can do would help me facilitate better and more transformational learning experiences for the people that I worked with in training.
Okay.
And so it was when I gave birth to my second child, to Sarah, that I kind of woke up in this personal transformation that I didn't plan to go through, you know, it just sort of happened, yes. And it's not an unusual situation that you find yourself, you know, that you're no longer motivated, that you feel like there's more to what you can achieve and what you can do, and better ways perhaps to bring your contribution to the world. And so I decided to go to coaching school, which then opened new doors of self-awareness, of clarity, of what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so I left everything that was familiar to me within the corporate world to do what I needed to do. And Soul Bloom is the umbrella, if you wish, under which I now work as an entrepreneur. I deliver trainings, I create learning experiences, I facilitate them. Well, before the virus, face-to-face, now mostly online.
Yes, of course. Current conditions, I can totally understand that.
Like many businesses, I had to pivot. And so, yeah, I've moved my trainings and my coaching sessions entirely online for the time being. But although training online can be almost as satisfying as being in class with people, I really, really miss the energy of being together and creating meaningful learning experiences together. So that's the very short version.
Okay. So if I was to ask you, Cristina, for the moment with the training and the coaching that you're providing to people online, what is something new that you might have discovered during this period?
Well, about teaching online, or about what specifically?
Oh, it could be that you discovered, like you said, when you meet people, like to have that bond and to create and be with them. So maybe there is a new way of teaching, like you pointed out. Maybe there's something in the teaching that you learn, or a new way to connect with them, or a certain tool that you didn't realize or didn't feel that it was important while you were meeting people. And now you can do that even through, as we say, online.
Okay. So one advantage of teaching online and meeting with people online is that they don't have to, leave their homes.
Okay.
Which makes it a little bit easier to get things organized, if they are parents, so that they can leave the kids in another room with their partners or significant others,
Right.
so that they can concentrate. And then you spend less time because you don't have to, travel through Bucharest to get to certain points.
Yeah.
Another upside is that I get to work with people who would like to, would have liked to come to the face-to-face trainings, but they were from other cities, or in some cases, Romanian people living abroad. So now it's easier, to facilitate learning experiences that they can benefit from. Coaching sessions I used to do online beforehand as well, so that wasn't a big change for me. And yes, you can create connection if you limit your number of participants, whether it's Zoom or another tool that you use.
Right.
You can still create the space for everyone to contribute, to ask questions, to get clarifications. But in my personal experience, when we are there, we can, I can touch you, we can smile, we can hug at the end. It's different.
Right, absolutely correct.
Not necessarily better or worse, it's just different.
It's
so
just
now, we learned to connect in new ways.
In a new way. Okay, fantastic. Cristina, thank you so much for taking us down that path, that wonderful path that you have been through, and
I'm still on the path. I am still on the path.
And encouraging others or helping all those that want to have and to take that path to become better in their own lives. If people that are listening out there and you are here on the broadcast with me and Cristina, and you have any questions that you would like to ask, definitely write on the live feed, and we write in your questions, and probably Cristina will take up those questions. Now, just in case if Cristina is not able to answer anything at this moment, she will definitely get back to you personally a little later. So Cristina, I'm looking at the moment, we don't have any questions that have come in. So I don't know, how would we like to start? So how about, like you said, what is coaching exactly?
Okay.
People might be having this very basic question, like, what is coaching?
Yeah, what is coaching?
Yeah, what is?
Well, the International Coaching Federation, which is an organization that oversees, that everyone that has or is a coach adheres to some rules and regulations and ethics, says that coaching is like a partnership between a coach and the client, or a coach and the coachee. And it's really a creative process that challenges the client in his thinking or in his patterns, and inspires him, to maximize his or her potential, whether it's personal or professional.
All right.
If I were to give you a more personal definition, the way I see coaching, to me, it's, let's say, the art of creating space, a safe space for the clients that I work with, a safe space and an authentic connection and trust, so that the clients can explore their thoughts, their feelings, ideas perhaps, or identify resources that they have internally, and perhaps they weren't aware that they had these resources before. And so it's really, honestly, it comes down to being this magical dialogue, if you wish, in which the coach asks you the questions that you most need to answer, the questions that will move the needle the most for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a a very, I don't know, it's an advantage for both the client and the coach, and we both learn from each other. You know,
Right.
I really believe that no one has any supreme recipes or truths, you know.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's a really nice partnership, and I am privileged, really, and it's an honor for me whenever people ask me to join them in these journeys towards themselves.
Okay. Okay. So with the question that I just asked about what is coaching, probably people might also be thinking about, but wait, I'm doing therapy. That is helping me. So,
Sure.
or maybe I have a mentor. Isn't my mentor a coach?
Okay.
Or is there a difference between these
Yeah.
two? You would say,
Yes, there is.
okay.
So let's take coaching and therapy, for example. One of the biggest differences between the two that I see is the time frame that they address.
Wait, we're talking about coaching and
Therapy.
therapy. Okay.
Right.
A person just wrote in right now and asked, so coaching is like mentoring, is like mentorship. So I suppose we are hitting right on the question at the moment. So
okay,
go ahead.
So I'll answer, I'll talk about the comparison between coaching and therapy, and then we
Fantastic.
can move to mentoring.
Definitely. Okay.
So when it comes to coaching and therapy, one of the main differences that I see is the timeline that, or the time frame that they address, because therapy, or most of the therapy sessions, are about your past. You go there to, I don't know, make peace with the past, to heal certain wounds, to assign perhaps new meanings to events that you've been through. It's a lot about coming to terms with things and just leaving behind, you know, baggage that you no longer need to carry around. Maybe it's not even your baggage to carry.
Okay. Good point there. Yeah, good one.
Coaching is about, you know, no matter your past, we are here today, right? So you and I are having coaching, regardless of your past. You are here today, and you need to go somewhere. You need to achieve something. There's a result that you want to achieve. And so coaching looks at where you are and where you want to go, and how you can bridge that gap. What are the resources that you have, and what actions you need to take in order to achieve those results. In coaching, the parties, meaning the coach and the coachee or the client, are equal. And this is one of the differences between coaching and mentoring, because who can be a mentor?
Someone who has experience, I suppose that's who we consider, or someone who has achieved that goal, who has achieved that destination.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So we are looking at people who have already conquered that which you want to conquer. They have experience.
Good point, right?
And they can teach you, they can show you, you know, shortcuts. They can hand over some of their knowledge, some of their experiences or expertise. You know, they can teach you how to do what they have done. In coaching, I'm not teaching you anything.
Okay, I see.
Right. So I'm not even a guide. As a coach, I'm someone who just accompanies you in the journey that you are on. I don't lead you. I don't give you solutions.
That's a good point, right?
And it's not necessary for me to be an expert in your problem. Because coaching is very much about you answering, you know, you finding the answers that you need, and me as a coach being there, asking those questions, acting as a mirror, you know, observing. Perhaps there are certain patterns that you use, words that you use often in a coaching conversation. Your energy shifts, your body language shifts as you talk about the different things that you want to talk about.
Right.
And so I mirror that back to you and I ask you, what does that mean? Right? And so depending on the conversation, in the end, it's you that has the answers.
Okay.
Right.
So do you think with the fact that the person needs to guide the way or to show the way, right? I mean, you are just with him. Do you think this puts people or would put people like to be afraid, or I want to be shown the way. I don't want to path the way, you know? So is coaching meant for everyone, or they need to do this change or switch to a mindset about what they believe in?
Okay. So for example, if you were to look at advancing your career or shifting your career, right?
Okay, right.
You would perhaps benefit from talking with a coach to clarify what it is that, I don't know, what need you have and that is no longer satisfied. What would be a path that you would want to explore, a career or a new job that you would want to explore? And then once you find it, you could accelerate your growth, right? Your evolution in that career or in that job by having one or more mentors that could assist you.
Okay.
Does it make sense? I can help you get clarity around what you want or what you need. And then once you identify, I don't know, I want to be a training manager, whatever. That's the conclusion of the coaching discussion. And we explore that. Why do you want that? You know, what would that bring you? So on and so forth. And then a mentor would come in later and would show you, right? Okay, so this is how you can accelerate your growth. Or if perhaps you are within an organization and there's an opportunity for you to grow and you want a promotion, perhaps someone with more experience than you could give you some tips and tricks about and insights about that job that you are running for.
Good one. Good one. Okay, thank you for that. So I am online and on broadcast live through Radio Shalom Romania and with Cristina, who's a trainer and coach. So if you guys have any kind of questions, queries that you would like to approach regarding today's topic and want to address it to Cristina and to me, you can definitely write it down on the live broadcast. Till then, I'm going to read another question. There is a question that's here. Roughly how long does it take someone to change their life through coaching?
Well, that depends where you are and where you want to go. Right?
Right.
So oftentimes people ask me if I have coaching packages and how many sessions it takes. And I don't know.
Right.
I cannot foresee, the future. I don't know what our first conversation will reveal.
Absolutely.
Because oftentimes what happens in coaching, when people think about their issues or their challenges a lot, what can happen is that they come with what we call a presenting problem, which is what you think your problem is. But then once you start talking and once the coach starts asking questions, you can realize that the underlying issue, or there is an underlying issue that is really what you should address. The main cause, right? We're not treating effects. We are trying to go to the cause.
Right.
And so I think it depends on where you are and how willing you are to work with yourself, how open you are to coaching and to answering questions that perhaps you never thought of asking yourself.
Absolutely correct. Right.
And so, yeah, it depends.
It depends. Yeah, you're right. I mean, so if the answer is not clear, Daniela, then do reframe your question once again and write it in. And what Cristina is saying, I totally agree to this, because everyone can have a different goal in mind, a different path that they want to achieve. So it depends from person to person regarding to where they want to reach, right, Christina? So I
Yeah.
think I'm
Also, I would look at what does transform your life mean for you? What is it that you want to change?
Good question.
Is it just one area of your life? I don't know, perhaps it's health, or it's intellectual, or it's career, or financial, or what is it that you want to change?
Right. Okay. That's a very, so Dana, you need to think about these questions and maybe write in another question to the live broadcast to Christina so that she can kind of help you out there and maybe she can give you an answer to the next question. So for now, we don't have a question, but what I'm going to do is we'll take up the next topic. I mean, what, as you had written, how, unless we did answer that, how can coaching help you?
Okay, so it can help you in many different ways, in many different situations.
Right.
It can help you if you have certain decisions to make, right? If they are personal or professional, doesn't matter. If you are going through a change and you have difficulties adapting to that change. And this can happen even when it's a change that you wished for, right?
Okay.
Because we are we are creatures of habit, and our minds function in a certain way. Our brain's job, number one job, is to keep us safe. So whenever we try to pursue something new, it's absolutely normal that our flight or fight response kicks in, because everything that's new is potentially dangerous because it's unknown. It's unpredictable. Right. We haven't been there before. So even when we want to make some changes and they are not imposed changes, it can still be difficult to adapt. Then, I don't know, you might have problems or challenges and you need someone to help you see things in a fresh perspective. A coach can be that objective partner that could show you things that you by yourself can't see. One of the perhaps lessons that I've learned along the way and during the 100 plus hours of coaching is that you can't solve, I think they attribute this quote to Einstein. I'm not sure if it's his or not, but there's this quote, and I kind of tested it out with myself and with my clients, that you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it, right? You need to go at least one level deeper, right? So you can solve it. And having a conversation with someone who's totally non-judgmental, right? Someone who can create that safe space for you to explore can be very valuable, when you're perhaps very subjective and can't see clearly, so to speak. Then oftentimes people come to coaching when they feel like they lack motivation. They can barely get out of bed in the morning. Right. They don't really understand what's going on. Nothing major has shifted in their lives. And oftentimes it's the case that they discover that certain values became now important for them, and those values perhaps are not met in their current circumstances. So you never know where the coaching conversation can take you. I don't know. You can go to coaching when you want to make some changes, or you want to change something, but there's something else pulling you back, right? So you're blocked. You can come to coaching when you feel like you just want to work with yourself and you want to deepen your awareness, your self-awareness. You want to understand your potential. You want to see what's possible for you. Right. You want to, I don't know, identify interferences. There's this equation in coaching, the equation of performance, right? So performance equals potential minus interferences. So we can work on both identifying, or clarifying what your potential is. But mostly what I meet is people coming to work with those blocks, with the interferences, to get them out of their way.
Right.
You can go to coaching when you want to clarify your values or understand what's going on with you. If you're in a personal transformation, such as mine, or when you want to perhaps understand what your purpose or mission might be. There's a lot of things that you can do in coaching.
Right. So Dana continues to ask a question. What are some methods you use in coaching to help people? Are there even? So this is my question. Are there any methods? The question is, what are some methods? Like, there are methods. So I was not really sure.
Yeah. So as in any field, there are methods and steps and frameworks. One of the most common methods, if you wish, in coaching is the GROW method, which stands for goals, reality, options, and way forward. So we start from identifying a goal, right? Then, and you have a goal for what you want to achieve, and then you have a goal for that session, right? Because you might have a big goal, and we need to meet multiple times for that. If you say, I want to transform my life, quotes, right? That probably won't happen in just one session, right?
One session, absolutely.
So,
break it down.
We explore the goals, and then we talk about your reality. What have you tried? What is going on? What do you feel? What do you think? What do you usually do? Then we start looking at possible options of what you could implement as a solution. And way forward is about how you implement those ideas in real life. Like, what is it that you need to do after that coaching session, right? Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
right?
In order for you to move forward and closer to that objective or goal that you have in mind. So there are a number of methods that you can follow. Then again, if we look at the approach in a more general way, what I practice, so to say, is transformational coaching.
Okay.
Which means that we go beyond just clarifying goals and identifying ways to achieve it. Because in transformational coaching, we create this space in which you learn how to transform thought patterns, feelings, behaviors, right? So that it goes beyond just a result. You learn how to transform the way you think, right? And we can go into mindset, right? We have the fixed mindset, and we have the growth mindset. And there's a lot of things that we can talk. And it's important to understand that basically every behavior that we have is driven by beliefs. Right? And beliefs are basically thoughts that you've repeated so many times that have become kind of like truths for you. Right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough.
Right.
I will never be able to do that. Or you have to work hard. You have to earn love. There are all sorts of beliefs that we absorb from the family we are raised in, school, colleagues, teachers, society in general. And so there are a lot of things that you can explore in coaching. And So I was talking about transformational coaching. But oftentimes what I find is that it's less about the questions or the techniques that you apply, and it's more about the relationship, the trust, the safety that's created in those meetings, that are really or probably sometimes the most important thing.
Why would you say this is the most important thing? Trust and the relationship that you build with your coach.
Well, because one of the gifts that a coach can give you is, besides the safe space that he holds for you, for any feelings you might have, you can cry if you feel like crying. You can be mad. You can be sad. You can experience all of those feelings, which helps you then process them and move on. You create space for those feelings. But I feel like one of the most important gifts that we as coaches give our clients is that we are undisappointable. And I know it's an invented word, but it's basically, it states the fact that no matter what you do or you don't do, what you say or you don't say, there's nothing that you could do or say, right, that could disappoint me or any other coach who,
Fantastic.
respects his job and his profession. And so how often do you get that? How often do you get to talk freely about what goes on in your head, without the other person, looking at you like, what? Why would you say that? Wait a minute, that can't be right.
Right. True.
And so oftentimes I feel like, especially if we talk about topics that would fall in the life coaching aspect, that sometimes it just helps to know that there's someone there who truly listens, who can sit in silence with you if you need to sit in silence, and process everything. Someone who doesn't have their own agenda, and someone who's really there to just accompany you in your journey, whatever that journey might be.
Right. Right. So Dana was agreeing to the fact when we are talking about the beliefs that we people have, right? What we have grown up with, what we have kept repeating to ourselves. So she says it's very interesting. These beliefs can represent the blockages that we have, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Dana, that is correct, and Cristina agrees to that. Ada is right again and saying, as you have mentioned, a lot of issues and reasons on why someone would go for coaching. All these resemble very much the reasons for which you would go to a psychologist. Question is, what are the main differences between a coach and a psychologist? And what are the pros and cons of going to either one of them? So maybe, I don't know, Cristina can, okay, I will let you take, I was just saying,
okay,
just the coaching part, but I will let you take the.
So as I mentioned earlier, right, one of the main differences between the two,
yeah, I think you did mention
namely,
a few.
Right, coaching and therapy, or a coach and the therapist, is the time frame that you address. And coaching and therapy can work very well together. Sometimes it happens that people come to coaching and they try to move on, move forward, move towards a goal, right? And then they realize that no matter how hard they try and how clear their action plan seems, there's something that makes them relapse in old habits and patterns.
Okay.
And so sometimes there might be something much deeper, right, that holds you back. And so in coaching, we don't explore the past, because opening doors, asking questions about the past can open doors that as coaches we are, I don't know what to do with that. you have, I don't know how many years it takes for you to become a therapist, right? Coaching takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on the school that you choose. And you do have exams, and you do have competencies, and you do have rules and regulations that you need to respect. But we don't go to explore the past. We don't talk about your relationship with your mom or your grandma or whatever. We only go into the past to see if you've perhaps experienced similar situations to the one that you are in today. And how have you managed it then? And it would be just to explore possible resources that you have and you've used, and how you can replicate what you've done then in the situation that you have now. But other than that, we don't explore the past. So the coaching is about where you are today and where you want to go, and how do you bridge this gap here to here.
So that's pretty clear, Cristina. Thank you. So I believe if you do have anything that deals with the past, or you have anything that is logging behind, you need to go to a therapist. So a therapist and a psychologist, sorry for my innocence, but are they the same? Or I'm just asking. Psychologist and therapist? I don't know. I'm just asking everyone out there. If Cristina doesn't have an answer, somebody else can tell me. Please let me know.
I think that there's a difference between a psychologist and the psychotherapist. I wouldn't go into
that's fine.
details,
That's okay.
But definitely, as far as I know, there's a difference.
Okay.
I think that psychotherapists have also, and if there's anyone online and can, correct me or fill in, they have, how do you call it? It's like not mentoring, but their supervision. They have supervision, and they need to go through certain processes or steps in order to be able to work with their patients or clients. I think you are a psychologist if, like, you're an economist if you finish an economics school. And you are a psychologist if you finish psychology. But I think that isn't enough for you to actually work with people.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents, but I'm curious if anyone online can share some light into this, then
cool. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. So if somebody wants to clear that doubt of mine, write it down on the broadcast. And if you think you have a coach for the trainer and coach with us today, Cristina, definitely write in those questions and queries on the live broadcast. So Ada is writing in and saying, thank you, Cristina, for
you're welcome.
And
I hope I answered at least some of the questions. I believe you have.
Yes. So Ada, if you do have, and Adana and anybody else out there that is listening in, you'll have any unanswered questions, queries that is troubling your mind, and you want to ask it, this is the place. Definitely write it down. So I remember that you had asked this, you wanted to touch this, and you said, why is coaching so powerful? So before you get into that, I was wanting to understand, is there any other methodology besides coaching that is less powerful?
I think,
or this is the way, the best, of course.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. Okay. When you're trying to get to know yourself better, to understand, and to peel off those layers of conditionings and the beliefs, that you acquired in all of these years growing up, there's a number of things that you can do. You can start by, reading a lot. You can start by asking questions and having the courage to sit in silence. There was a study, I heard about it on a podcast. Unfortunately, I don't know the source, But they said that, so in this study, people were asked if they would rather spend 15 or 30 minutes in silence with their thoughts or get a mild electric shock. And a very high number, a very high percentage of people said that they'd rather have the mild shock. Thank you very much. So,
oh my God.
I think that just by learning to sit in silence, and you can meditate if you want to try to meditate. I highly recommend it. But if you feel like you can't sit still, go for a quiet walk. No phone, no nothing. You know, just you and yourself.
Right.
And so, of course, that when you create this space, then things can emerge. Thoughts, fears, you know, or whatever it is that preoccupies you. So this can also be a good start. Meditation helps because it helps you quiet your mind and become an observer of your thoughts. Because in meditation, right, you can have thoughts that come and go, but you don't get hooked to that thought. You don't go with the thought. You just note, okay, this was a thought about my project due tomorrow. I don't know.
It's just passing.
Right? Yeah, and you observe it. Okay, I see it. And then I go back to my breath, right? I go back to breathing. Mindful moments throughout the day can create this space that we need, because I feel like we live way too much up here.
On the mind.
And we have around 70,000 thoughts, a day. And we only, most of these are at a subconscious level. You're not aware of them, right? But they're there.
Wow.
And most of those are usually the same, right? I tried this yesterday, didn't work. So why bother trying again? I'm not good enough. And, you know, we go back to the limiting beliefs.
Right.
You can journal when you want to start working with yourself. You know, it's not the same when you go through things in your head and you can distract, you know, yourself. It's different when you take a piece of paper and you write down whatever is bothering you, your relationship with your partner or whatever. You had a fight or you feel angry. Write about what you're experiencing. It doesn't need to follow any rules. You just brain dump. You write everything, you know. And besides the fact that it's beneficial when you write by hand, you activate certain circuits in your brain. Then you can go back to your paper later.
It is fantastic what you're mentioning about the meditation and the writing down. And I've heard this many times. I've even tried it. And yeah, I think it really does help.
And writing down is
down in the paper.
And you again can become an observer of your thoughts, because what happens when you write things down, you will be able to see clearly where the facts stop and where your interpretation of the facts start.
Good point.
Because, you know, there's what happens to us, right? What the circumstance is, and then it's what you make it mean. And so you can explore some of your patterns and what triggers you by writing
it down.
You can go to trainings where you're not alone. You're surrounded by other people who have challenges probably similar to you. This helps you see that you're not alone. You know, it gives you comfort. Some people feel safer in a training-like setup. You can go to therapy, you can go to coaching, you can go to retreats. There's so many precious things that you can do. And I don't think that it's about one being it. Actually, I think the more you expose yourself to different tools or techniques or resources or whatever, the richer you become.
It's fantastic. I totally agree. Some things might work for you, but maybe for somebody else,
Absolutely.
there's something else that can work. Not necessarily it has to be the same path. Exactly. And that's where even the coaching thing, as you said, it might take me a year for my path to coach with you, while for somebody else, it could take 6 months, or it could take 2 years, depending on where he wants to get to.
You never know.
Right. So, so why is coaching so powerful?
I think it's powerful because you're always in charge as a client.
Mm-hmm.
It's always your agenda. You're the boss. So
Right.
if coaching were a boat, right? You would be the one steering the boat as the client. Myself as a coach, or any coach, would just follow, the red thread that you give them. Follow with questions, with things that you notice or observe. And so you're always in charge. And then I think this, although it might seem easier when people give you advice, right? I want you to tell me what to do.
Uh-huh.
It seems easier, but in reality, I'll just make a comment that in coaching, we don't give advice, and I can come back to this. But in reality, when you get an advice, it's a rather unfortunate combination, because it's my advice. It comes from me, from my experience.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
I have a different background. I had perhaps a different circumstance when I applied what I'm now suggesting that you should apply. It's filtered through my lens, or through my experience.
True.
Then it's my advice, but it's your responsibility. I tell you what to do, but you have to do it. And so if you choose to do what I say as an advice, not as a coach, just as a person giving you an advice, right? If it works, then you take the credit because you followed the advice.
Right.
But if things don't work out, then who are you going to blame?
You're going to point the finger back at the person that gave you the advice.
Exactly. And you will probably not learn much from the experience, right?
Absolutely. Right.
So in coaching, as I was saying, we don't give advice. First of all, as coaches, we truly and deeply and sincerely believe that our clients have everything they need within themselves. I fully trust that you have the resources that you need, that you have the answers that you need, and that if you commit to something, you can stick to that commitment, and you can see that through, right? So if I were to give you advice, that would mean that I don't trust that you can do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't give you the power to take that next step. It's like you are relying on someone else. It's not in your own credit. Yeah. I'm talking the right language with you right now.
Right. So if I say, on the one hand, I fully trust that you can do whatever you say that you are going to do after this coaching session, and then I come and give you advice, what does that actually say? That I don't trust that you can do it, right? And it might also be about me. It's my advice. It's like, I want to save you. I want to come and give you an answer that, I think might work.
Right.
So we don't give advice, right? What we do is, as I said a number of times, and I'll keep saying this, we create that safe space that you need to explore whatever you need to explore. And so I think it's a gift, because you feel empowered. You feel like there's someone there with you on the journey, but who's an observer. I'm there for you, but I can tell you what to do. It's your responsibility. Coaching helps you gain a lot of awareness, and helps you identify ways in which you can become responsible for the results that you wish to see. But at the end of the day, when you finish the coaching session, the real magic, if you ask me, is when you go and do what you promised yourself that you would do. Wow. Because if we just talk and we just promise that we'll do things, things are not going to change.
Yeah.
Things change when what you do changes, right?
And many a times, Cristina, and I'm sure you have experienced this, when even as a colleague or as a classmate and you give advice to someone and you see the person doesn't really take the advice, doesn't want to maybe follow it up, and they're usually doing what they feel that they would want to do in the end. So here, I think this is where coaching really comes into place, where, you know, I'm not taking the responsibility. You see, you did this last time, you're doing it again. And do you think it's working out? So it makes that person himself contemplate on what should be the next move, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Daniela continues to write, I read somewhere in the book, The Power of Now, I think, that doing new activities helps strengthen connections in your brain and helps you see things through a different perspective. So I've also read the book, The Power of Now, and it is one of the things where if you start brushing your teeth with your left hand, it kind of makes new connections because you're not used to brushing your teeth with the right hand, with the left hand. You're not brushing your teeth with your left hand. So do you recommend these kind of techniques to your clients?
Depending on the situation, yes, we can. Whether they follow up or not, because I'm not giving you a solution in this case, right? It's just a way to cultivate mindfulness, for example, or creating or strengthening, you know, your brain, because it's like a muscle. You need to work it, right? Mergi la sală. So, but the interesting thing about this is, yes, of course, you can notice a lot of things, you know. Actually, going back to the brushing your teeth example, when you just do it automatically, you probably have no idea how many thoughts go through your mind while you brush your teeth, and you have absolutely no idea if you've brushed this side or this side, you know, or how many minutes. Right. So we are so caught up in all the thoughts that we have.
It somehow becomes a subconscious after.
And you can also use the brushing the teeth. You can also use the brushing your teeth exercise to practice mindfulness, which means that for those 2 minutes that you brush your teeth, you don't think about anything else than just brushing your teeth. Like, now I go this way and now I go that way, you know, and it's the same with when you drink your coffee or your tea or eat your food. These are small things that you can implement like now, right? To start practicing mindfulness, for example. But going back to the comment, and yes, the book is awesome. What also happens is that when you expose yourself to new experiences, whether it's going to a new restaurant that you thought you might never try, or reading a book that you never thought that you would read, or going to a training or whatever it is, all these new experiences open, you know, new windows of perception. We start to see things differently, and every new experience that we gather will help us see the world in a slightly different way, because we change.
Yep.
After I go through a new experience, I'm no longer the old Cristina. Now I'm a new Cristina. I'm richer with this one experience, which helps me see things differently.
I had a question regarding this, Cristina. So do you believe that a habit can be formed in 21 days? It just popped up in my mind as we're talking about this. So I've read that if you persistently do a certain activity or restrict yourself, for that matter, for smokers and drinkers.
I like your body language. Restrict yourself.
Restrict yourself from a certain activity for 21 days. Does that become a habit?
Do you think it becomes a habit? What's your experience?
I've never tried it. Sorry. I've not tried it. So
Yeah.
What would you say? Oh, do you?
Well, being somewhat of a neuroscience geek,
Yeah.
right, or aficionado, I would say that it depends. If
Okay.
you want to drink more water, right,
Mm-hmm.
doily 3 or more doesn't matter, right? But if you want to drink more water, I think it's doable. I think that if for 21 days you set up your environment in a way that supports you in drinking more water, like you take water everywhere with you in all the rooms, right? Or bottles of water. Where's your water? Yeah, right. So if you do this for 21 days, I think you have a very good chance, you know, of having a beginning of a new habit. You have a good foundation. What I know to be true is that consistency is key. And I also am a firm believer of small steps, small daily steps that you do for long periods of time. Because your brain can handle these small changes that you want to implement. When you want to take big leaps at once, that might be a threat to your survival.
Right.
And then your survival mechanism kicks in, and then forget your new habit, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So I think that it depends on the habit. And rather than thinking about, yes, well, 21 days and I will be drinking more water or doing this new habit, I'd just think about the identity that I want to embody and not tie it to a number of days. And a very, very nice book is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Atomic.
And yes, atomic as in very, very, very small, right?
All right. Good word.
So, and you can find it both in English and in Romanian. And it's such a beautifully explained and simple read. And it's so clear. It's a very clear guide of how you can, you know, start to create new habits, or stop repeating certain habits that you no longer want to repeat. And then I don't know if it was in his book or I heard this somewhere else, but there's this success story that I usually tell when I have the Rewriting Your Limiting Beliefs workshop. That if you can start by exercising a minute per day, and I'm not kidding,
right,
like a minute a day, then I don't know, after a week, you can take it to 3 minutes, right? So if you're really having trouble, paying the money to go to the gym might not work, right? But if you build this habit, you know, step by step in small increments, then you start to embody this identity of a person who works out, right? I want to be a person who works out. So how do I think? What do I do? And today I work out for a few minutes. In a month, I will work out for 30 minutes every day.
Right.
And then once you get past a threshold, then it becomes so much easier.
Easier, true.
But
oh, there's a but.
It's yes, there's a but, right? If you stop doing this new behavior, then the old behavior, the old habit comes back, right? So it takes a lot of awareness and conscious effort. Conscious living is tough, you know, it's hard work.
It's not easy.
So yeah, and I think even on the bad days, say you want to become a runner, this is the new identity that you want to embody, right? And today you just put on your running shoes and go downstairs. Maybe you come back in 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. You made a step, right? And so perhaps you are now at a level that you run 5 kilometers every day. I don't know. I'm just making it up, right?
Yeah.
And so one day you go out and your body just doesn't feel right. You don't have the energy and you just after 1 or 2 kilometers, it's like you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. It's okay. You've been out there, you've been consistent with your habit. Okay, you didn't run the 5 kilometers, but you didn't stay at home.
Right.
You did as much as you could that day. You can always, catch up, and make up for the missing kilometers in the next days. So when it comes to habits, the book I recommend is Atomic Habits or The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And it explains the triggers. It explains a lot of things. And then I would suggest that rather to sticking to the 21 days or 30 days or 60 days or whatever, just go with the small, constant, daily action. It's like, because it's whenever you do that new behavior that you want to transform into a habit, it's like you vote for it, you cast a vote. Right. And so you imagine the box where the vote goes. And as you keep doing that habit, the number of votes go up.
Way to perceive it. Right.
And then you have the other box with the old habits or behaviors. And I don't think that it will be empty, but the thing is that you have much less, a smaller stack of votes there than you have in your new behavior, new habit box.
Absolutely, Cristina. Fantastic. So Camelia wrote in and said, this is when we were talking about giving advice or what is giving, or that we shouldn't be giving advice. So they said that there are people that are functioning like this just to tell them what to do. And you are assuming the responsibility in their place. You don't have to give advice, help if it's not asked. But again, I think we made it was quite clear that it's not a good thing. It's best when somebody takes his own step forward.
Yeah. Friends can give advice. Family can give advice. I'm not saying that you never give advice. We were talking about the coaching conversations.
Absolutely.
Right? Yes. Where we don't do that. You give advice to your friends because you're friends,
Yeah, exactly.
And you celebrate together, you commiserate together, you do that. But I would, if we were in a coaching session, I would look at why do I feel like I have to give advice? What does it mean for me that the people around me want advice? Like, why am I looking at other people? For example, someone once asked me in coaching, what would you do? I want to know what you would do. And I was torn, because I felt like I would want to tell you, but would that really be relevant?
Yeah.
And so instead of telling her what to do, I asked, what would change for you if I told you what I would do?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. So this is the kind of questions, right, that we ask in
back at
in
the
coaching,
person.
right? I give the ball back to you. What would change for you, or what would be different for you if I told you what I would do instead of you?
Yeah. True. Right. Camelia agrees to the fact about the brushing part that we said, to become conscious of your action, even when brushing your teeth. So that's true, actually. So thanks for writing that in. Cristina, we have gone over the hour.
Yeah, and I noticed.
I'm so sorry. This is a mother of two people, and I totally am very grateful that you're here. Would you have any closing words that you would like to share about coaching or about your field to the people listening in?
I would just say to anyone who's watching or listening that if they feel like coaching is a good fit or might help them, give it a try. Don't reject it. Try to find a coach that you feel like you could resonate with, that you like their energy, the way they work, and because this chemistry, I think, is important. And just trust the process. And if we talk about transformation, that's, I think, a last piece of wisdom that I want to share for today, to just
Please.
understand that transformation takes time. It's not an overnight thing. It takes consistency. It takes a lot of awareness. And sometimes you're going to hear or see things that you don't like, but it's all part of the process. And I think, you know, living a conscious life is a lifetime's work. I don't think you're ever done until you're
Absolutely.
like done.
It's like the human need to always grow, to be
To grow,
to improve, to want
yes,
as well. So, okay, sorry. I hope I didn't stop you.
yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, so one of my friends wrote in saying this was amazing. I came in late, but definitely watch it again. So
I'm so great. I'm so grateful for the invitation, and to know that to have received the questions, and for the openness of the audience. And yeah, you can catch me online on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm pretty easy to find.
You can also find
And
her on
I'd be soulbloom.ro, or my personal blog, which is cristinaoțel.ro. The podcast, Pauza de Bine, a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You can find me. And if you think that I can help you in any way in your journey, then just let me know.
Daniela says, Cristina, thank you very much. You gave us some really nice insights. And Cristina, I would say the same.
Thank you for the questions, Daniela.
If you are not reaching out to Cristina Oțel, then you are giving an excuse. There are more than 5 ways I counted right now where Cristina mentioned ways to reach out to her. So do that effort. She's also tagged by Soul Bloom on today's broadcast. Take that effort, write in a question, and make that personal bond with Cristina if there's nothing more that you would like to reach out to. For people that are still watching in, we're almost done with the broadcast, but the broadcast will stay online, so you can definitely come in later or directly connect to Cristina with any kind of question that you might have. So Cristina, thank you for sparing this 1 hour plus with us.
Thank you so much.
Coming on. And
I had fun. It felt really nice. So
fantastic. And this is exactly how I feel. And if you felt the same, then I think I have done my part for today. I totally appreciate that. I think we really had a good time. And maybe I hope to see you again on
why not
another topic. Fantastic.
Sure, that would be lovely. Thank you so
Cristina.
much.
You're most
Have a
welcome,
nice
Cristina.
evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Ciao.